Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to be here with you today. We have an exciting panel lined up to talk about human trafficking. As you all know, January is Human Trafficking Month in the United States. So we've put together a panel of experts from all over the world to talk about human trafficking today and share their knowledge and expertise with everybody on the call today. So, first, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Queen Aminata. I am a human rights consultant and I work with agencies all over the world teaching about human rights. Today, I want to introduce our panel. We have a wonderful panel today. First up is Ambassador Ireneo Namboka. Mr. Namboka participated in 3 United Nations peacekeeping operations in Haiti, Rwanda, and Liberia. He was the desk officer for Kenya, Nigeria, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Zambia at the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights, headquarters in Geneva. Since leaving full-time United Nations service in 2010, Mr. Namboka has maintained activities in the defense of human rights, transitional justice, peace building through creative writing, training, module designing, and conference work. Welcome to the program, Mr. Namboka.
Thank you very much, Queen Aminata.
Next up, we have Mr. Yinka. Mr. Yinka is a professional athlete and coach. He is an IATA certified travel consultant. He's a USIDHAR certified human rights consultant, and he resides in Newark, New Jersey. Welcome to the show, Mr. Yinka.
Thank you, Queen Aminata. It's a pleasure.
Next, we have Mrs. Dottie Lassiter. In 2005, Dottie Lassiter triggered the largest rescue of human trafficking victims in the United States with the rescue of minor sex trafficking victims of Gerardo Salazar El Gallo. She has served victims of human trafficking in the United States for the past 19 years. Dottie has led human trafficking task forces in Houston, Texas, Los Angeles, San Diego, and Orange County, California, USA. She's trained over 6,000 law enforcement officials on the issue of human trafficking. Dottie has been the subject of many investigative reports and documents for ABC, CBS, CNN, Al Jazeera, Vanity Fair Confidential, Discovery Investigates, and Texas Monthly Magazine. She practiced immigration law for 6 years as an accredited representative. She is the founder of Trafficking Victims Rescue Central, where she serves as an expert witness, crisis management consultant, and public speaker for the issue of human trafficking. Welcome, Dottie.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here with all of you.
Thank you. We have Dr. Sheikh Ramzi, who is a servant of Allah, the Lord, and lives to serve humanity. For over 40 years, Sheikh Ramzi's campaigned for human rights and peace across the world, working with the United Nations, interfaith nationality, internationally with governments around the world of integration, cohesion, and peacekeeping. Sheikh Ramzi is the director of Oxford Islamic Information Center International. He is an Islamic scholar in the Quran and Islamic law and educationalist. Former chair of the Muslim Council of Britain's Education and one of the representatives of Muslims of the United Kingdom. Sheikh is one of the trustees of Universal Peace Federation, which is strongly campaigning for world peace. He is director of Justice for, I'm going to get this wrong, Rohingya UK, a campaign to implement the resolution of United Nations on issues of human rights and justice. Sheikh is the directorate, imam, and advisor of Oxford and Oxford Books University. He is the vice chair of IDO International Advisory Board and the chair of Tell Mama Themes Valley UK. Chair of Oxford City Sanctuary, looking after the affair of all refugees, asylums, and homelessness. Sheikh is the author of several Islamic books, including Muhammad, Inheritor of All Prophets, and 7 Steps to Glory. Welcome to the show, Sheikh.
Thank you, and God bless you all.
And we also have His Royal Highness HRMU. He was born in Norway, the son of a psychologist and a university lecturer. He started working in social work at the age of 17, and he has spent last 22 years doing that very work. He is a priest in the ULC, a healer, author, and artist. His music is healing and can be found online under his artist name, M. Ancient. Though a monk of his own denomination, he has 3 wonderful children from a previous marriage. His mission is to make Earth a better place for them all. for all the children of the world and to help others shine their light. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness.
And with that, I'll turn it over to Ambassador Namboka, who will be asking the questions today.
Thank you very much indeed, everybody, and Queen Aminata in particular. I'm going to be straight to the point. We agreed that we're going to be spending 3 minutes per intervention. And before you end, a little knock or bell will be sounded, just to let you know that you've got to have half a minute to go. So let me start with the guest, Yinka Olasoji. The question is, what is human trafficking? If someone asked you in the street, what would you answer?
Thank you, Honorable Ambassador. Uh, Contrary to people's general belief on human trafficking, because if you ask an average person on the street, like what's human trafficking, the response is generally going to be like, oh, transporting people from one location illegally to another place. But there's actually more to that. I'll go by the definition of the UN Human Rights Commission, which defines human trafficking as the process through which individuals are placed or maintained in an exploitative situation for economic gain. With this definition, we can actually have an in-depth knowledge of what it means when we actually referring to human trafficking and exploitative situation. Placing an individual maintaining them in an exploitative situation for economic gain. That seems to tell you that trying to abuse individuals, exploit them for economic gains. So that actually gives us an in-depth knowledge of what we're actually talking about regarding human trafficking, which we can actually refer to the modern day slavery. So, in a nutshell, human trafficking is more than just the ordinary word we actually refer to here as just transporting people illegally from one point to another. So that's the real definition of human trafficking.
You can continue a little bit more because you've got a minute or two still in your favor.
And also, it is a serious endemic scourge in the society today because statistically, around 27 million people, generally children and women, are involved in this, heinous situation. So, which makes it a very, very serious crime to humanity. Yes.
Thank you very much indeed. Maybe if there is a minute, I just saw here that those people that are involved in this thing, they are victims and then the peddlers. And I've got a diagram here which shows that about 62% of the people that promote this crime are men. However, we still have about 38% who peddle this crime that are women. So when you say people involved, apart from thinking of the victims, we also will probably this evening touch on those that really perpetuate this crime. And we're talking about at country level, those that are international actors and domestic actors that put the lives and well-being of people at risk, turning them into commodities. And this is why the phrase modern forms of slavery comes in. And the world is fighting, and I know that the United States of America only on the 11th of this month held a commemoration to remember those that are victims of this, and it was sponsored and organized by Queen Aminata's organization. Do we still have time allocated to our first speaker, or do we want to go to the next question? Queen Aminata.
We can move to the next question. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. The second question is going to be addressed by no other prominent personality than Dr. Ramzi Sheikh. Professor, this is your question to comment on. Who are the victims and who are the perpetrators of human trafficking? Oh, unmute
Sheikh,
yourself.
you're on mute, Sheikh. We can't hear
Unmute
you.
yourself, Professor.
I'm muted here. God bless you. I said that. I repeat it. God bless you, Your Excellency, and God bless you all. And in the name of Almighty God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. As a lecturer, usually I open as a lecture, for example, introduction, and however, we take it forward. Perhaps I can take some of the time of the brother Yenka, which is says I've got the 10 minutes, but anytime you want to stop me, that'd be excellent. I can get 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever. Okay, brothers and sisters, I'm talking to the audience at the moment. Human trafficking is an evil and unlawful act of transporting, employment, or movement of the people from exploitation and abuse by the use of threat, force, of fraud, deception, abduction, or abuse of vulnerable, and list goes on. This is my introduction. Human trafficking is one of the most profitable international crime today, according to the some studies. The sale of the human being, not just the trafficking, sale of the human being is believed to be $7 to $12 billion industry. International Labor Organization (ILO) estimate is a very big organization that the forced labor of all kinds generate $150 billion illegal profit annually. This has been done to the 2014, is ranking the sex slavery and of course human trafficking and the forced labor third. The sale of the first one is the sale of the drug. The second one is illegal arms, and the third one is a human trafficking. Some survey even said that human trafficking may eventually exceed the net profit earned from the sale of the drugs and weapons, as drugs can be used and finished, but the human sex slave can be used, reused, and resold. This is important with the profit. These are what they're doing. Human trafficking can be compared to as His Excellency said, modern day slavery, and include the human rights abuse such as bondage, deprivation of the liberty, and lack of control over the freedom and labor. Some survey estimate around 40 million people annually are impacted by one of these type of trafficking globally. Among them, sex trafficking of the woman and young females are making almost 2/3 of the trafficking, and children's sex trafficking, boys and girls, and among them the recruitment of a use of a child soldier, abducting young female for the marriage, and for the marriage use of the selling the organs, children begging for children that they use for a begging in the street, which I know. Other my brother and sister, of course, there are many questions should be answered, but of course I have one or two questions. Yes, the first question going to be, who are these? Who are these people? I should be mentioned here. Factors such as global political and economical instability in certain region of the world, together with a large scale of epidemic instance of poverty and the oppression of entire group of people, contribute to making human vulnerable to becoming victim of human trafficking. Human trafficking is based on simple economic principle of supply and demand. Some countries who are prone to the supplies, including Russia, Nigeria, Ukraine, Albania, Thailand, Poland, Mexico, Romania, and on and on. My brother and sister, we need to identify the cause of the demand, the perpetrator, and the supply, the victims. On the demand side, it should be done a full research, which we're doing in the Nottingham University, that what is the cause I'm involved? What is the cause which make demand so high? For example, pedophiles who are using the young girls and the boys has to be pinpointed. The country which has a shortage of the countries which has shortage of the laborers, cheap laborers using it. That's the trafficking. Point of the sex industry, demand for sex. Just 1 second, pinpoint the classification of humanization of the abused victim and so on. God bless you, and I carry on later.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor Sheikh Ramzi. I note that one of the people watching Sharifa Rowe has a question. I think we shall come to those questions a little bit later, but let's have our panelists say the message they have. Please, Sharifa Rowe, bear with us a little bit. Let's hear now. Our next presenter is Harkon Raya Manshint. Will you kindly listen to this as your question you're invited to react to? How has human trafficking touched your own life?
Well, thank you, first of all, for including me in this discussion. As I said, or as the Queen said, I've been in social work for many years, and I met many victims of various forms of human trafficking. But the most recent one was actually online. I'm also an artist, do a little singing on some apps, and on one of them, we have lives where you can come into a room and there's one person singing. And I came into a room with someone who was in my family on the app. And I think I was invited by mistake. She was in bed. And when I saw her eyes, because what I understood was that this was an auction. She was about to be sold. I remember the feelings I got from seeing this young child, beautiful young child, there was a lot of people who were bidding on her. It just struck my heart so deeply. And this flight on humanity that we actually allow people to be sold in what we call a civilized world. I find it abhorrent. I cannot express how. But still, as I said, I've met many exploited, abused children and youth in my time. And I do believe that this is something that if we work together, if we manage to gather all the good of the world, as this group here is an example of, we can really do something about it, because we can't allow this to continue. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much indeed, Brother Harkon Ryan Manchin.
Call me Hawk, like the bird. It's much easier.
Please, Aho, please, thank you very much indeed. And you're generously allowing space in terms of time and what more may be said. Now, I'd like to turn to our sister, Dottie Luster, and the question she's going to address is this. Whose children and young adults are targeted by human traffickers? I hope I get this question properly read. Could you kindly, you're familiar with the question probably?
Yes.
Will you be so kind and pose it for us? Because I couldn't quite say it properly, please.
Well, thank you. And pardon my brief step away, I had to switch devices at the last moment and my battery was draining. So I was sweating it, going, oh no. But we're plugged in now, so I'm good. There's always a technical glitch, even with the best laid plans.
True.
So the question was, whose children and young adults are targeted by traffickers? And the answer is everyone's. A lot of times we believe that it won't affect our family, or it happens in some other country or city or community. But what I found in doing this for 19 years is that absolutely every child, young adult, and even older, but I see the target is more overwhelmingly children and young adults, is all of ours. So an example is one victim that we rescued in the United States. Her family was so wealthy, they sent a private jet once we had located her to pick her up. I helped, go ahead. I helped another child, young adult, actually an adult, but someone's child, who was in law school and actually was being trafficked while she was in law school. And then, of course, I could list many other examples, but I list those two because I think it's very important that we not parent with hubris, meaning that we understand we must be concerned about this. We must actually be scared about it. In a civilized society, we must stop it. I agree with the previous speaker. We cannot allow this to continue. If we don't save our children, what's the point? That they're our future. What's the point of anything we do if we let our future be harvested? So I say this so that every community, every leader, every parent, every grandparent understand that their responsibility as adults is to protect all the children in their world, not just the ones they care about, but all of them. And so on our website, we have a document called 55 Things Parents and Adults Should Know. And I urge you to go there to traffickingvictimrescuecentral.org and read that document. Because parents today can't ask their parents how they handle this interactive internet. This is the first group of kids in the last, since 2007, that have had a device that literally connects them interactively with video, images, words, voice, to every bad guy in the world. And if that doesn't terrify parents, I don't know what should. It's like giving a key to the front door to every bad guy in the world. And I want this to stop. I want to never be needed again, but sadly, that's not true yet. Thank you.
Well, we find no words to thank you with properly. Every speaker I'm hearing makes my heart jump. Now, the words of the previous speaker and yourself take me back to the African cultural habit that a child in a village is a child for everybody in that village. You can't say that so-and-so's son or so-and-so's child. A child is generally the responsibility, the interest of everybody in that village. Now, we talk about the global village this evening, and we are touching problems we sometimes imagine exist in poor, badly governed countries. My reading tells me these things, as Professor Sheikh Ramsey said, are happening in Britain. I was looking at information about the United States of America, and those things are being fought, combated, because they are real. And as the last speaker said, it isn't other people being vulnerable. We are all involved in this. I'm not supposed to be speaking again. I'd like to kindly invite Um, Dr. Ramsey, please, again, a little question to be added to what you told us. How can we reduce the number of victims,
That's right.
criminals, and crimes?
That's right. It is a very important, of course. As I again, my apology. As I mentioned, I usually as a lecturer I make it lecture type. Is not just a question. However, I carry on to that, and when we come into talk between the panels, I shall say, and of course, at the end of my speech is the way how we can do it, and if there are many ways which the individual or group or organization or government can do. However, as we have to say, the human trafficking is a huge dragon with lots of head. Is not a one or two. However, globally, one of the I carry on that globally, 1 in 5 victims of human trafficking are children, although in the poorer region of the Or and sub-regions such as Africa and Great Mekong, they make a majority of the trafficked person. On the supply side, which I was going to carry on the supply side, the study have concluded that over the half of the world, 250 million young workers are involved in a dangerous sectors, including forced sex worker and forced street beggings. Of course, these are all has a statements has a link to. The vast majority of these female victims are young women tempted with the false promises of the employment and then raped, drugged, imprisoned, beaten, or threatened with the violence, have a debt imposed on them, having their passport confiscated and blackmailed, and so on. And of course, we also need to see the false assumption amongst the many communities, in particular the youth of those communities that have promises made by trafficker of a better life in Europe and America. These are very important, which we know. What can we do to reduce this crime, my brothers and sisters? Of course, one of the points that contribute to encouraging traffickers in the enforcement is the enforcement of the law, which is very weak, very weak. Sometime at the moment, I can say in Romania or America, I have evidence which the police let them in. The border police let them in. These are the things which you have to think of. Just as the traffic make, just is for the of course to reduce it. Just as trafficker make use of globalized nature of our modern world, which is generally defined as the increased communicative between the countries around the world, we also need to make a use of globalization to tackle the crime. I believe there are 3 main areas which we can tackle the trafficking: law, aid, and education. And of course, I talk about it later. I think the bell ring didn't it? We have to give me a little bit more. Perhaps I can say the full force of the law. Severe punishment for trafficker need to be aware of the harsh consequences of their actions. They get away with it with the big solicitor which they have. They get away with it because of money. This is wrong. 8, more contribution from the rich countries to help poverty. Help from individual. Individual has to help. Is not only only government should help. And the promotion, education, the seriousness, this seriously warning young people, young families of grooming. Grooming is happening and falling to the trap of slavery. These are grooming. This is a innocent or intentional grooming we have. Campaign in the communities being targeted for trafficking need to be increased, supported. Vulnerable people need to be made aware of the reality of such a scams so that they can see through the false promises and avoid these destructive trap which we have to, after that we have to sort it out. God bless you. I know I take it my apologies, but of course I talk a bit about it later if there is a time. But what is really and what we can do is important. What we can do as the individual, what the government can do, what the forces can do, what the parents can do, what the children can do. Children are important. Children come first, parents second, because children goes to the internet. They go into the internet. They get trapped there without the parents knowing, and suddenly they've been abducted. These are the things which we have to warn the younger people. And of course we talk about it later. We're doing something in the Nottingham University, which I am part of it, of course. We are trying to research on slavery and what's happening, and all the points, do and don't. Sorry, my apology again. I take it some time. How it goes. This is Sheikh, lecturer.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Ramzi. You're very welcome. You're our guest. We're going to use the wisdom you shared with us to go to the next question now. Brother Yinka Olasoji, the next question is for you. What are the effects of human trafficking?
Thank you, Honorable Ambassador. Um, First of all, the effect of human trafficking, we have to talk about the victim first because they are the one involved. The effect on the victim uh, is, let me start with it causes social and psychological effects on most of all these victims because initially most of the victims they are not even aware. Maybe let me use the word naive. They are naive. Initially, they are being tricked into this act of modern day slavery. And before they realize it, it begins to like have adverse effects on the social and psychological well-being. They become vulnerable, they become prone to crimes and all that. So, and the youth, like I said initially, most people involved, the victims that are involved in these are majorly women and children. Children, the youth who are supposed to be the future leader of the society, are being endangered in this kind of inhumane act. So you can imagine the adverse effect this heinous crime is going to have on the so-called future leader if this kind of crime continues. So, in a nutshell, let me just say it causes a great psychological and social impact on them. Another thing I want to talk on is the uh, human trafficking brings about economic regression. In one way or the other, we might like look at it from a different perspective, but it actually brings about regression in the economy. We cannot have a very productive economy if you have people, who are victims, majorly victims of human trafficking, modern day slavery. They cannot actually bring out their best because they are being forced into labor. Some of them have been abused in the past. For example, there are some countries whereby uh, they have what we call bonded labor. Bonded labor, whereby a particular, let me say, uh, transfer of a particular debt or something like that to another person, like inheritance. You know what I mean? And you expect that kind of person to be proactive in that particular area of his or her job. It's not possible. So all these things going to have a lot of, damage to the economy of that particular place where such thing is actually happening. And another thing I want to talk about is the fact that we have several victims of human trafficking who are also most vulnerable to the society. So urgently, we need to like make sure that these things, people need to be educated, especially the youth and the children, the society at large, so that they are not going to be a victim, they are not going to fall prey to all these predators out there looking for an avenue to take advantage of them. Thank you very much.
You've landed because you had half a minute to finish.
Okay. Well, if you allow me, we continue to go on and on. But for now, let me let me just give others the chance to express
All right. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going back to Brother Hawk, Richard Mansian. The question you have to look at now is, what, as a social worker, do you believe is the one thing that can be done to change this global problem?
Yes, it is a difficult problem. And as the other speakers have talked about, there are lots of things to do. I would like to say one thing is to remember the power of one. Each of the people who are sitting here and each of the people who are listening, you can do something about this problem. You can be observant, you can be active, you can join an organization that works against human trafficking. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you have a title, it doesn't matter if, right before I came here, I watched Kamala Harris speak on Facebook. If you're the vice president of the United States, we all have the power, but we need a blueprint. And I think that is why I join up with the Kingdom of Atlantis, because their blueprint is the 17 SDGs, UN SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. If we can fully embrace these principles and see that we need to see every person on this earth, every sentient being for that matter, does have value. We are all connected and we are all one. We all come from the same mother. If you look far enough back, it doesn't matter what our color is or how much money we have or whatever. We all have value of our own, and that is what the SDGs really, why they spoke to me so deeply, because they talk about that we are all connected. We all need to work together. As was said here, it takes a village, and if the village of Earth could work together, then we can make tremendous changes. I think a final thing is to raise females, to raise women, because I know that also women are involved in human trafficking, but I do believe we need more of the feminine energy in the world, the caring and nurturing. We need to move away from the more masculine fighting and everything, and we need to work together in a harmonious whole. That is necessary. Thank you.
We're most grateful for that wisdom and guidance to us. Now I come down to Sister Dottie Laster. Your question is, what can parents and communities do to protect their families?
Well, thank you. For parents, I think that we often think that our kids would tell us if someone was targeting them, but that's a mistake. The bad guy may have targeted 1,000 kids, and hopefully your kid's not met very many bad guys. So I say you can't parent with privacy, and you can't parent with hubris, meaning you have to understand there's things out there your child doesn't know. And think about yourself. Are there things you never told your parent, even though you're now an adult? Well, your child has those same secrets. And there's just some things that as parents, it's our responsibility to watch out for our kids, not the kids' responsibility to come tell us everything. And I know we're often taught differently than that, but in all the cases I've worked, that seemed to be something I wish parents would have known. So I give them permission to spy on their children's devices, to be inquisitive, and to watch for changes in their child. If they become isolating, if they start to change in their grades and behavior, those are some of the early warning signs of grooming, as our speakers have talked about. For communities, what we can do is understand that it is, as I said before, all of our responsibilities to make children have a place to grow up that's safe and free from this type of exploitation, because they don't heal from it. They don't come back the same child that gets taken and lured and groomed and deceived by a trafficker. So it's very important we never let that end. So as communities, you can host events like we're a part of today. You can host meetings, build task forces. You can demand your elected officials answer to what they're doing about this. You can run for office yourself and make it a platform. You can help. I see so many times in juvenile courts, children are actually arrested due to the crimes that they're a victim of. They need advocates, they need help. They don't know to say, I'm a victim of trafficking. And if any of your communities at all are interested in these type of initiatives, please reach out to me and I'll be able to help you and guide you. And I'd love to see the world very hostile to traffickers and very safe for victims and children. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, there are some questions that came to the screen, and it's only fair before they go away. There has been one person following. The name is Sharita Rowe. The first question that was shown here was, does human trafficking mostly consist of sex working, or are there other activities involved in them? What kind of activities, if there are? So she wonders whether human trafficking is only direct, maybe motivated by people wanting to exploit people sexually,
Yeah.
or
Your
are
Excellency,
people trafficked for other purposes?
Your Excellency, I think I answered. I answered. Can you hear me? I answered on the on my lecture which I give, or on the, what I spoke. Yes, it is not just a sex. Is a cheap labor. The organs is a very important. They take in the organs, and I should give you an example. For example, in a minute, the beggings I saw, for example, in Saudi Arabia, which we going there with 3 million. They're going for pilgrimage. Thousands of children are there from India, from other countries. They bring him to beg and taking him. And of course, for the forced marriage as well. You remember the Boko Haram? They take 200 children from the school. That was, of course, the abduction. And of course, the child soldier as well, which we know all happening in Africa. There are many more. As again, I said, this dragon got a many head. However, I tell you one thing about the organs. I was in the House of Parliament in the United Kingdom, which I was talking about the illegal selling of organ in UK. Illegal selling of organ in UK. They came because of coming from China without a permission. If they got a permission, for example, a person. Now you look at these. Of course, I'm talking about everybody's which is here expert. It is what is happening. A person which has got a heart, okay, he's got a heart problem. Heart is dying, and he says the organ £100,000 a heart. And he will buy in UK. He will buy. I said it in the House of Lords. I said this is wrong. He will House of Parliament. This is wrong. You buying because you got 100,000. He will look to China to look to 10 or 100 people, killing to bring for you a fresh one. You better die. You better die not to killing those people. These are the things happening, and everybody is agreed in the Parliament. But it's still because he got £100,000, He's an old person. He got a lot of money in UK, 100,000. He wants to stay. He rather that somebody get killed. But if they haven't got the permission, they sell many at the moment. The organ, the kidneys, you name it. From the China come. From the Uyghurs. You know Uyghurs? 2 million of my brothers standing in the Uyghurs. Uyghurs are in the detention camp. They take him, they bring him, and they kill them, and they bring him. This is what's happening. And of course, we went to the House of Parliament and brought it as a genocide. I'm sorry if I'm saying that. But again, lots of things happening, which we need to, what we need to do here, we need to change the tactic of what we had before to other things, because still what we're doing for a number of years, decades and hundreds of years, is still getting gross. What we need to do, what is the demand and how can we kill the demand? If they kill the demand, the supply will stop, dry. This is what we have to think. Not we getting trafficker. If I have £1 million and I'm paying for my heart and a body, somebody will do that. Therefore, let's think about it at the root of that and find the root. Cut the demand and the supply will dry. God bless you. My apology when I'm talking, but of course, again, this is the way which we have to do, and this is the way universities have to do. Perhaps I can get the Oxford University to do that as well, which the world accepts their research.
Thank you ever so much, Dr. Sheikh Ramzi. It just happens that your answer nearly covers the next question the same viewer asked. She had asked, is the root cause of human trafficking dehumanization and capitalism?
That's right.
And
that's what
and I think this person who is watching us is very focused, and she probably peeped into your notes, Professor Ramzi. I dare guess that she probably peeped in your notes of this intervention. Now, of course, I wanted to say those were questions from one person who is following us, and it's interesting that she raises there are other parts that are involved in the end results of trafficking, and then she asks if the root cause is dehumanization and capitalism. I'm sure, yes, please, would you like to add something? Ancient?
Yes, of course it is. Once we forget to see that the person standing opposite you is a human like you, is a living creature with needs and wants and the right to live, then we can turn it into an object, and we can turn it into a commodity. As soon as we think that because somebody has a different religion or culture or background or race or whatever, as soon as we forget that this is a human being, then we can start using them instead of meeting them with the respect that they deserve. So definitely, this is, in my opinion, the root cause is that we have allowed capitalism at its worst to take over. And I must disagree with the professor, because I don't really think it's possible to stop the demand. We need to do something about the root cause. We need to go down and see how can we enlighten people that we are all one.
Absolutely. We do respect, of course, my brother Reverend. It is right. Stop it, of course, is impossible. Is since a human born, the thousands of years ago, we got a slavery. However, to stop it, we are trying. But if we get a 10% even, I'm going for a high, shot for a high, we get a low. If you shot for a low, you get nowhere. This is the way we're going. For example, what we are trying to do. I remember that one of the prime minister of us, a friend of us, where she said Tony Blair was said is impossible, but I am going to have a shot at impossibility. These are very important. We get the high, God bless you. We get the high and we
Yes.
bring it low. If I can even save 1%, 1% is good. I of course, I told Ambassador Nambuka a story a couple of days ago. It just said, take a minute. I said, Professor, there were a child was he saw by the sea. He was by the beach by the sea. Said thousands of starfish, smaller starfish, is millions of starfish in the just dying. He got it and one by one threw it out, threw it in, and one person came and he said, what's the use for? It's a millions, multi-millions. And the boy take one and throw it out. He says, it make a difference to that. You understand what I'm saying? If we make a difference to one person, we done. But we don't stop to this one. We get the high. Perhaps we finish with the low. And God bless you. You are a good man.
God
Thank you
bless
very
you
much
too. And
indeed.
I did not disagree with your vision or that you are doing your best to enlighten people about what is happening. So please.
Please kindly, Reverend, besides issues about organs, what keeps people from going to authorities? This is a question while you're still on the floor. What do you think keeps people from going to the authorities? Reverend Manchin, this is addressed to you. Can you see the caption?
The thing about how predators work is that they are experts in manipulation. They tell the child or the youth that if you tell anybody, you will get hurt, someone else will get hurt. This has to be our secret. I'm going to help you. They are so good at setting up a scenario where they actually believe that this is somebody who wants to help me. And they also do it with families when children are sold into slavery, into whether it's working in a mine or whatever. They are so awesome at manipulation, and that is the problem, because they twist the minds of those who aren't informed as they can be if they listen to the different. There's a lot of information out there, but we need education. That is necessary.
If you allow me to add these ones, that's excellent. Of course, we had it 2 or 3 days ago. We had it in TV, as I said, in BBC, which they're showing the police raided a place with a sex slave girl was there underage, but they taught these girls not to trust the police, and police cannot do anything. Cannot do anything. It shows in the TV. If you look at it, of course, BBC 2 days ago, you will see. He says, if they are not complaining, we can't do anything. They made them against the authority. This is one of the things which we have to, of course, mention here as well. These are very, very clever traffickers or very skilled, which they scare them, as you said yourself. They say, if you say anything to police, your mother, your father, your brother going to get killed there. Here you are. She thinks she's saving the father and mother and stay forever a slave.
And the
Thank you
problem is
very much.
sometimes the system works along with the predators. Like in
Yeah,
Norway,
yeah.
there was a woman who, I believe she came from Nigeria, and she finally told her story that she was a victim, and then she was evicted from Norway. So we also have to look at the underlying systems, whether they are supporting the victims or if they are actually on the side of the predators.
We're very grateful. Maybe I may ask Mrs. or Dr. Dottie Luster to have her word on this issue. What do you think prevents people from going to the authorities? Please unmute yourself.
I agree with both speakers. It's coercion and manipulation. It also is knowledge. Maybe they don't know there are laws to protect them. But if so, how do they enact those laws to protect themselves? I have a victim living with me now. I have in the last 6 weeks fought 10 battles for her after getting her free. So it's not just that one moment, it's ongoing problems of trying to reintegrate into society. And it takes someone very strong to stand with them and help them. It's one thing to say, now you're free, but then where do you go? What do you do? So we need to support them in many ways, whether it's in society, whether it's in court processes, whether it's in their immigration, protecting their families. It's a very complex thing. I say no matter how hard it is to find them, that's only 20%. 80% comes next. And that's what we have to do. On a second topic, I also want to address impossibility. The human experience, humans have limitless potential. You remember, I don't know when, but they broke the 4-minute mile running. And now that record is broken and broken. And whatever records we set out for ourselves as humans, we can continue to break. And so, yes, it seems impossible, but I don't ascribe to that. I would say our humanity, our capacity for love and compassion knows no limits. And I do believe we can stop this.
And never give up. Never give up. This is a very
Never.
important. Never
I
give up.
don't know. Thank you very much indeed. I thank you.
Well, Muhammad Ali was quoted as saying, it's really difficult to beat a man who won't give up.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
would say, absolutely, I think of that every morning.
As they say, and never give up until the lamb become a lion. This is one of the things which we have. God bless you. You are excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed. I don't know, Queen Aminata, how much more time do we have for this conversation? I might just say something.
Go ahead, Ambassador. Yes, we're fine. Go ahead.
I think that the world has been changing, but changing in order to be the same. We're talking about 1,000 years now, ever since people from different continents began to really interact. In the case of the African continent, from the 15th century, people from the northern part of the globe discovered that they could cross oceans and go to other places. And when they left Europe, they didn't know that there were other humans, or maybe not in the real sense of humans, but other things that look like humans where they went. And this happens to what we call America today. Now, this encounter from that period of time has created problems. People from one part of the world going and thinking these other people are not really what people, human beings should be. And you know what happened to the indigenous people in the lands we call the Americas today? Then they discovered that on the continent next door, there were people that didn't quite look like them, but they didn't call them people actually. They saw them as material for pursuing gain and profit. And for about 500 years, we've been going through a relationship between humans that do not see each other as fellow humans. This is the fight I think we're talking about here, because I don't think continents like Africa is receiving a lot of people from other parts of the world as trafficked people. I had a diagram here. When you see the flow of humans trafficked, there is internal trafficking inside countries, But if you think on the global stage, people that are trafficked are in the majority from places that were discovered, and I'm using the word discovered with quotes because you don't discover. And this mindset is the driving force behind trafficking. Professor Ramsey says somebody has got money and he's got a heart that is failing, and it doesn't disturb that individual to receive a human heart. If it is a heart taken from somebody that's going to die because there was a horrific accident, that would be a different story. But we're talking about trafficking a young man from Glasgow or from Marseille, a live French man, and you take him to Zimbabwe to be cut open and the heart taken out. So when we talk about money, capitalism overriding and obliterating every other value in our existence, so we have to try and look back historically and correct things we've made wrong. And I think human trafficking, in a certain sense, is a form of looking at other people as not necessarily as worth as you are. So you're prepared to have somebody die and you can have a kidney. This preparedness is criminal.
Yeah.
It's inhuman. I think this is a message, although we say we must educate, but educate who? The corrupter or the corrupted? You see, this is the question. We talk about education, human rights, but who is teaching who human rights? And along my journey as a human rights promoter and educator, I came up against these questions. If you have been a poacher and you become the ward, the game ward, we don't know what you're going to do when it's dark because you've got habits that are not possible. Consequently, I suspect that we have to work on this together and rediscover humanity as
Yes.
humanity used to be. And some of these little places people who are trafficked go from, it's true, poverty does cause trafficking, but poverty in itself is not the cause. It's the mindset of those who use. Professor Ramsey called it the demand. This is criminal demand, like a cannibal who wants humans to eat. That kind of demand should be stopped. Fortunately, there are governments which are really fighting hard, but we also know in the poor countries, there are people that are participating in the rackets, in the mafia that have people
Yeah.
trafficked. So educate who? The victim or the syndicate of criminals? These are the questions I think we want to go with. We are determined to fight and save and create a sense of equality, shared humanity. We haven't shown this, especially those of us who are privileged to speak foreign languages because we've had access to universities. Many people who are trafficked are very innocent, unsuspecting people. You lie to them, you promise them heaven, and you put them in hell. It's this kind of dishonesty that we are trying to fight. So we are talking about ethics here. We talk about human rights. We're talking about humanity. And who is going to be more religious than those who create? Religion started in Africa with the pharaohs and people before them. So maybe it's time to allow Africans preach their kind of, in quotes, primitive religion. Let Africa be allowed to preach its philosophy, where the village owns the child. So nobody can traffic because the child belongs to everybody. Today, a neighbor steals the child of the neighbor and gets money. I stop here. I'm not going to abuse our courtesy, but I think the message is to thank Queen Aminata for convening this exchange of thoughts. We trust the world is listening to us. We are begging for common brotherhood. I'm so impressed by the presence on the screen of the world. This is a rainbow conference. We are all present here.
If,
And
if you allow,
whoever engineered the face placing, we congratulate you. And the gender balance. The engineer is a lady. We've had the lady, Dottie Laster. We're grateful, Mama. Speak to you like Mama. We're privileged to have ladies like you lead the cause of humanity. And we haven't allowed women to do key things in life at the world level and locally. We need more of you. We need more of your thoughts. We need more of your humanity. I thank you, all of you, particularly my friend, Professor Sheikh Ramzi. We thank you. We thank you, Reverend Harkin Raya Martian Ueland, my young friend Yinka. Are you related to Ole Soyinka?
Not at all.
Not at all, Olasoji.
Yes.
And of course, my gracious Queen, Aminata. Thank you for putting us together. And maybe we don't stop here. It should be a beginning.
if you allow me, yes, as I said, if you allow me to say the last word, as they say, 1,000 miles journey start from the first step. And I think if we have a asset, very good asset, excellent asset, which we have here with us, that 6, maybe more, we can get it, which we can 1,000 miles journey. First step, we took the first step, and by grace of God, we can make a difference. I am very sure we can make a difference. Sister Dottie has got a lot of experience, and the other brothers, Reverend, and everybody else's, and Queen. We can make a difference. We can take it to the government. We can lobby the government. We can take it to TV. We can have a base. We have to have a base which ask the people, which traffickers or people who traffic, come and talk to us to see how we can solve the problem, because they revert. You understand what I'm saying? Trafficker, they can revert. He said, I was trafficking my son was trafficking a couple, and I give up, I forget, whatever. Let me help. These are the things which we can, they say, all the drips comes, and after that become a sea. Therefore, drip, we take it, and after that we got a sea of knowledge, sea of the power, and we go, and by grace of God, we shall win. Don't underestimate yourself. This organization is good. Amaneta leading it. God bless you. Go forward, and let's go and do some good. And God bless you. I close my case.
Thank you, everyone. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Thank the panelists for coming on and sharing your wisdom and knowledge with everyone today. I do want to quickly just go around and get everybody's contact information that they want to share with the audience in case anyone wants to reach out. I know we do have someone listening who wants the information on your 50 questions, Dottie. So we'll start with you. If you can give the web address where they can find that information, please.
Yes, it's Trafficking Victim Rescue Central.org. Or if you put Dottie plus human trafficking, you should be able to find me. My email is lasterglobal@gmail.com, or easier to remember, it's trafficked, TRAFFICKED @protonmail.com. And my number is in the United States, is 210-882-2259. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Yinka, any closing words and contact information for you, sir?
Well, my closing remark on this will be according to the words of Ambassador Namboka, which emphasize more on education, education, education. I think education is the only pathway that we can that we can use to sustaining human rights. We need to educate the world, the society at large, so that we can actually reduce this endemic called human trafficking. On this note, I will rest my case here. My contact information remains inka@gmail.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Hawk, any closing words and contact information for you?
Yes. First of all, God bless you all. Namaste. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. I can be found, I have a website, earthhouse.church, and there you can find my contact information and links to my music and whatever. So,
Okay.
deep appreciation to you, Queen, for setting this up. I think, doing something like this, this is a tough subject. This is something that is difficult to talk about because it touches us all so deeply. So to put together something like this, I think you deserve it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, everybody. Thank you. I think Sheikh Ramsey, did you have any contact information you want to share, sir?
Yes, my contact information underneath, of course, but underneath of the screen is wrong. Is h.ramsey@hotmail.co.uk, not .com. However,
Okay.
hotmail.co.uk. God bless you all. This is very important. We involve the UK and America because the most demanding countries, that too. America is a number 5. And I don't know what UK number is on a demand. However, we can lobby the government. Another thing, of course, I have to say, if you Google me for Dr. Ramsey or Sheikh Ramsey, press the image and come at least 500 of my picture and what I'm doing. Just Dr. Ramsey image, press the image. Google Dr. Ramsey or Sheikh Ramsey, press the image, and all my whatever comments, a lot of things is there. You will see. You can't miss it.
Thank you. And I apologize for the email address being incorrect. We'll get that fixed for future shows. Ambassador Namboka, would you have any contact information you want to share? And then we'll close out for today.
Thank you very much indeed. I think my information contact is at the bottom of the screen. I think that should be enough, really, in the way of information.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And we'll go ahead and close out for today. Everyone have a nice evening and a great 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Yes,
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Pleasure to meet you all.
It was nice meeting you, Jan.
I'm trying to close it out.